This is my corner tea bar, and finally the time has come to talk about 2007 Haiwan Old Cameron. Some people call it Old Cameron, but I'm not sure if it's Old Cameron. It's distant mountain ancient tree, or basically like difficult to access mountain wise tree. But it's named in different ways because it's just kind of like a translation. This tea is cheap. It's like 40 bucks plus shipping, and I think it's like half a kilo. It's like 500-gram cake with some crazy stuff like that. I don't remember if it's 400 or 500. I'll put the image somewhere there. But anyhow, it's a great tea, and have some notes in this book that I'm gonna read while I show you all the things. But the main thing is that this book is, I mean, this cake, it is a very oxidized or basically aged. It's like almost 20 years, 19 years old, right? But it was storage obviously probably in a very humid place, and it's not on midway anything. It's like at the very end. I wouldn't be surprised if some fermented material was put in there. I don't think so. There are cakes of the same kind, of different years. You can buy them like 2014, 2010, whatever. You can buy older, younger cakes. I have not yet tried the younger ones. Maybe I'll. But this one, I have two cakes because I liked so much the first one that I decided to buy a second cake. The first one I got it from a dude from Discord, Mr. Mopar, and it was great because he actually talked to me about Sheng. Because I don't know really much about Sheng or anything, you know what I mean? So he talked to me about it, sent me a bunch of samples, and talked to me about terrain and this and whatnot. And it's a lot, man. It's a lot. However, I like this one a lot, so then I ended up buying a cake from him. And at some point, I actually got offered the same cake somehow, because you know how technology works. It reads your mind. I got the same cake offered on Amazon, so by a vendor, Sheng Juan, and yeah, I bought it from there. Mopar is not selling any more tea, so I am buying from Sheng Juan, and there is a lot of stuff in there. Anyhow, let's get started with the notes. So the first thing I did, of course, is measure in 120 ml 6 grams of tea to kind of like have a standard, and I use boiling water for the first brew. The actual name of the cake is Shan Lao Shu. So Shen is kind of like distant, far, hidden, hard to reach. Shan is mountain. Lao is wise, and Shu is tree. Lao like Lao Tzu, or ancient, actually more like ancient elder. Okay, so the rinse is very earthy, and then your leaves are gonna be very earthy aroma from them, right? So an old dank wet storage can be perceived on this. And it reminded me when we were raking old wet leaves from the maple trees down here, trying to like compile them into a pile and then shovel them. There were like older leaves under, like really composted leaves, and that smell that comes out of that is kind of what I can smell here. That earthy, wet leaf kind of a thing. The first infusion, it was a quick infusion. After like 5 minutes of resting after the rinse, and yeah, it has kind of like a shopware profile. It's like that far in the aging. It's sweet and leathery. It reminds me of an old book. Like when you put an old book like this really old dictionary that I have right here. You stick your nose in there. It has that old book thing. Look what it says. Get together to assemble. Collect, assemble. We must get together on understanding for this. Gettysburg, get up. Gilgal. Decorative trinket. Anyways, so it's like that old book feeling when you stick your nose in the book. It's very elegant, balanced. It has a dryness for the age. And I don't know if I get those pencil shavings, but kind of. It's a woody thing, but not really. And the second one will be I wouldn't reboil the water. I would just put the water however hot it is. I guess 180 for a little longer, maybe like a few more seconds, like 30 seconds or whatnot, 20 seconds actually. Um, at that point, I would feel the body warm up. I'm gonna be feeling like warmth, kind of like sweaty, right? But just warm. I also at that point I could start experiencing more of that what is called retro olfaction, which I figured that was actually what I was trying to say. That kind of aroma and smell and taste and thing that comes up when you exhale. You're like breathing and you start kind of like becoming one with the tea, right? You have this whole thing going on. Very little astringency or bitterness left from the rawness, and the wet leaves become sweeter and sweeter in fragrance. By the second steep. The third one is it's probably like yeah, it was a boil, and so I did a little short, maybe 10 seconds again or something like that, and the bitter backbone you kind of can perceive it back there, but it's erased by age or whatever the bacteria or mold did to change into this aged Sheng. But definitely makes me think of Puerh. And the liquor is dark brown and then still there kicking, right? By the fourth, at 190 probably, I did actually leave the tea longer for like 30 seconds. So I'll get a bigger extraction. And even with this bigger extraction, um, the sharpness gets accentuated, the definition and all the mentioned uh, notes in the profile are gonna be at the same ratio, just like more accentuated. And that reminds me that this tea can be brewed like at any ratio. You can put 3 grams in 100 ml, 6 grams, 12. It's up to you. It's not gonna get really like undrinkable. You know what I mean? But um, I like it around 5 to 7 grams in 100 ml. You know. And at this point, the vapor coming out of the tea and the leaves is really nice to smell. Like you will find yourself like just staying there, breathing that. It's pretty good. So, oh yeah, and menthol or camphor types of notes are not gonna be there unless you like let the tea cool down. That's when I that's when I smell it. That leathery smell is there more than in the taste, but it's there overall through the whole experience of this tea. And I have to say, like, I don't know much about Sheng and the whole, shenanigans and how elitist people or snobby people can get about it. The truth is that it's a really nice tea to drink, and that's all that matters. And I think that um, between this and a $1,000 cake, I will at this point in my life not be able to tell the difference that much for something to be 20 times more expensive, 30 times, 40 times more expensive, right? So there has to be a balance in my mind. If something is 3 times better, it should cost 3 times. But if it's just slightly different, then what's the point of having it? Maybe just showing off that you can afford it, or just curiosity, maybe have a sample. But it's not my thing. It's not my thing to spend that amount of money on stuff. I like the hobby and I like drinking tea and I like, nerding about it, but um, I think it's uh, more fun to drive an old car fast than a fast car slow. And with that, I will leave you until next time. Cheers.